Are you staring at your closet wondering how in the heck am I going to pack all of this stuff for a cross-country move? You're not alone. If you're relocating for work, decluttering before moving can save you time, money, and stress. Today, I'll walk you exactly how to do it step by step so that your move to the Tri-Cities can feel organized and simplified. Why does decluttering before a big move matter? Well, the first and most simple reason is less stuff equals less boxes. Less boxes you have to pack and less boxes you have to unpack. Also, less boxes means less space taken up on the moving truck and less weight, which equals less money out of your pocket for increased costs of a larger truck. I mean, if you can pack less boxes and then have to unpack less boxes, that sounds like a win, doesn't it? So where do you start with the decluttering process? I recommend you declutter with the high impact areas, such as the garage, the closets, and the kitchen. These are the areas that often collect the most extra items, things we don't use, things that get stuffed away in corners and we forget about. So start there and get rid of the things you know you haven't used in a long time and you probably don't need. Also, looking into the kids' rooms and all the toys and clothes that they have. So often our kids have tons of toys and games that they don't even use or they don't even like anymore. So that's a great place to start and an easy place to get rid of some extra clutter. Also, all those kids' clothes that no longer fit, another great place to get rid of the excess bulk. When you start with decluttering, begin with the things you have the least emotional attachment to. This will help you build momentum and you'll feel so great getting rid of stuff that when it comes to the items you might be more attached to, you'll be more likely to be okay parting with them. I like to suggest a 4-container system. You can use boxes, garbage bags, laundry baskets, or something like that for this. The container type doesn't really matter, but label them with keep, toss, donate, or sell. And this is an easy way to start categorizing those extra things and figure out what you're going to do with them. When you start decluttering, get the kids involved. If you have them help, especially with decluttering their toys and clothes, you might find out things you thought they'd be upset about getting rid of are actually things they don't even care about anymore. Having them get involved helps them feel more connected to the process and also gives you an extra pair of hands. It's amazing how much fun kids can have doing a simple task like getting to go dump things into different bins. Also, get them excited about the process by telling them, yes, we're getting rid of a bunch of your toys, but that just means we're making room for new things at the new house. Having their involvement and getting them on board will help reduce your stress and give you that extra pair of hands to help out with the process. When it comes to decluttering, there are items you definitely don't want to pack. So here's my list of what not to pack to help with your decluttering. If you're moving across country, you don't need unnecessary weight in your moving truck. So large, bulky items, things that weigh a lot or take up a lot of space, are a good place to start with not packing. Yes, I know you might have bought the couch when you and your husband got married, and it was the first piece of furniture the two of you ever bought together. But let's be real, you've had it for a long time. The kids have spilled chocolate milk and pizza on it, and little Susie colored all over it with markers. Yes, you got it cleaned up, but did you really? If you really look at that couch, you can actually still see the stains. You can see where the dog chewed up the corner. Is that something that's really worth moving? I know it's an extra expense to buy a new couch when you arrive in the Tri-Cities, but in reality, how much money is it costing you to put that on the moving truck in terms of weight and space taken up? If you have too many of those big bulky items, it might mean you need a bigger truck, which is more money out of your pocket anyway. Maybe save the money on the moving costs and use it to buy a new couch when you arrive here in the Tri-Cities that fits perfectly in your new home. Another place I recommend not to pack, or at least to take into consideration that you might not want to pack, is pantry items. I know that most of us think, I don't want to have to buy a whole bunch of new food when I arrive. But the reality is, if you're packing up a bunch of food from your pantry and putting it in boxes onto a truck, and then the truck is sitting out in a parking lot in the hot sun, and the boxes are getting jostled around in the back of the truck, and maybe there's a delay in closing, and now it goes into storage, do you really know how well that food is going to even be when you get it open? It may be spoiled, the cans may be dinged and banged around. If you have jars, they might break in the boxes, creating a big nasty mess. And it's just not going to be the great quality of food that it is right now sitting in your pantry. Maybe instead consider donating it to a local food bank or shelter and then restock the pantry when you arrive. Because just like the couch, those boxes are going to be bulky and heavy, so there's some cost in moving it anyway. So apply that cost to restocking the pantry when you arrive. So here's some donation and selling hacks I can pass on to help you with the decluttering process. If you declutter too much and there's too many items that need to go to a donation center, you might be overwhelmed with the thought of having to pack it all up and haul it there. Did you know that a lot of thrift stores and donation facilities will actually do a pickup directly from your home? It's true. If you make some calls, you might just find that there's a local women's shelter, that there's a donation center, that maybe even the Goodwill in your area has a program where they can come to your house and actually pick up your donations if you have more than a certain amount. Take the time to make those calls, and you might just save yourself time and effort hauling things around town because the donation facility might be willing to come to you and pick it all up and haul it away. Also, think about selling items before you move. That's going to give you a little extra money in your pocket to apply toward new items when you arrive here in the Tri Cities, and also helps you get rid of some of that extra stuff. Utilizing options such as Facebook Marketplace and other buy sell trade groups in your area will do two things. It puts a little extra money in your pocket, and most of the time, those are ways you can sell items where people will come to you and pick it up. Again, relieving you of the hassle of having to drive stuff around town and haul it away because people will come and retrieve it directly from you. So, what's the recommended decluttering timeline? I recommend, if at all possible, you start 60 days ahead. I know that seems like a lot and it may not be possible in all cases, but if you have 60 days, that's a great time to start the process. Begin with getting rid of the items that you know you don't use that often. Look through your garage, find items like car cleaning supplies, yard chemicals, things that you haven't even looked at that have gotten shoved away in a corner for 5 years or 7 years or who knows, even longer. Those are items you definitely know that you don't need to pack and move. Toss them now and get them out of the way. Also, go through your kids' closets. Look through the toy bins and start getting rid of stuff that you know they don't play with and they don't need. 30 days out, I recommend you start going through the kitchen and your closets. Clear out the clothes you don't need, clear out the kids' clothes they don't need, start going through any of the kids' toys if they haven't already been gone through, and start going through the kitchen. Most of us have duplicates of everything in our kitchen, and there might be ones that you want to keep, but there may be ones you don't. Going through those 30 days ahead helps you start boxing up the stuff you don't use on a regular basis. Maybe items like things you use when you host Thanksgiving, things that you don't use that often. Start boxing those up and get those out of the way and sorting through those. And that leaves only the most necessary items available to be used daily, and everything else sorted, decluttered, and packed. Now, 2 weeks before the move, that's when you want to get really serious. Anything that hasn't been sorted needs to be sorted. Anything that hasn't been packed needs to start getting packed. Because when you get 2 weeks out, you are down to the wire. And that final week, everything needs to be packed. You don't need the last minute stress of thinking, hey, I can pack this whole room up. It'll only take me a little bit. And then realizing it's way more work than you thought. And there's way more sorting and organizing left to do than you anticipated. So make sure that when it comes down to that final week before moving, all you're doing is boxing up those last items that you use every day and doing the last deep clean of the house before you turn it over to the landlord or the new buyers. And my final bonus tip, which will make the whole process so much easier, is to declutter with the fresh start in mind. I know that sometimes we become emotionally attached to items, or we have a hard time parting with things that we think we might need. But the reality is, focus on the fresh start. A new home is going to require different types of furnishings, and a fresh start is a great way to encourage kids to get rid of toys that they may have outgrown but aren't quite ready to part with. Encourage them to know that at the new house, there'll be new opportunities, new toys, and new beginnings, and it makes it that much easier for the kids. But also take that advice yourself and think, the Tri-Cities has really warm weather. I have been living somewhere where we're not that warm. I may not need as many bulky winter clothes. I'll need some, but probably not as many. Maybe I can get rid of some of those items. Look at that fresh start and those new opportunities and the things you're going to need in the new home, and use that to help make those critical decisions on what you don't need to pack and haul to your new home. When it comes to relocating, I'm sure you have a lot of questions and a lot of concerns and a lot of things popping up. If you need somebody to help support you through the relocation, answer those questions, and guide you in the direction to find the resources and services you need for your relocation, I'm here to help with that at any time. Check down in the description, and I've got all my contact information as well as a link where you can reach out to me and schedule a meeting to set up a personalized relocation plan. I've also got a great relocation guide you can grab that'll help give you information and a fabulous playlist that has all kinds of great videos on relocating to the Tri Cities. When it comes to your relocation, you want a professional by your side who can help you, and I'm here to help every step of the way. I'm Hillary Templin, relocation specialist and real estate broker in the Tri Cities, Washington, and I look forward to helping you with your move.